So, Julien Tornare, my friend, how are you, sir? Lovely to see you.
I'm doing very well, Wei. It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Pleasure's mine, sir. And I know we're about to unveil a really amazing new watch. This watch is so sexy. I absolutely adore it. But before we announce it, why don't we just go through a little bit related to this beautiful tonneau-shaped watch called the A384, which is the original watch the El Primero appeared in and has become really such a cool icon for today as well. So this is last year. You relaunched the A384, or you made a beautiful homage to the A384, the original watch from 1969 that had the El Primero in it.
Yes, of course. You know, when people think about the El Primero, they often think about the A386. But personally, I'm a huge fan of the A384 because I think the shape is so special, so original. So not only you have the magic of the El Primero, which became an iconic, the iconic movement we all know, but you also have this particular shape. And when we relaunched it, we wanted to be very close to the original one, keep a few differences, you know, in respect to the ones owning the ones from the 60s, 70s. And that's why, for example, we have the open back. That's why we made a few differences here and there. But it's very close, and I think the result was great. And you know, for us, it's been a bestseller immediately from the day we launched it on the market. It became a top seller for the brand.
It's amazing also that there was so much receptivity to this very unique barrel-shaped watch, you know, this tonneau shape, because it is something that was very much like when I think about the late 60s and the 70s, that's kind of the shape that I think of.
Sure.
But then what I loved was then you demonstrated that you could create a watch that was an homage to the past, but then you could come up almost immediately afterwards with a watch that was such a modern and vibrantly sort of contemporary interpretation of this iconography. And this was one of my favorite collaborations of all time. In terms of watches and kind of cool designers and brands. So it was the Mr. Porter, George Bamford, Zenith, Edge of Space. And This is that watch, you know? And I love this. I mean, tell me a little bit about this.
But you know, it's actually an illustration of the philosophy of the brand. And I've always said that the past and the tradition don't go against the future, the creativity, the innovation. I mean, we have to manage the two and have a good balance between the two. DeFi 21, DeFi Inventor, and more to come are really kind of building the future. But of course, we have these beautiful pieces from the past. And I think it's about how you manage the two. You know, when I met the gentleman who made the El Primero in the 60s, they had exactly the same mindset when they created the El Primero. Just to give an illustration, this is a perfect one, as you said, because we have the design, we have the spirit of the past, but by bringing a special dial, of course, and this microblasted case, we bring contemporary. So it's a perfect mix between the two. And you know how much I appreciate my collaboration with George Bamford, that you know well, for the Edge of Space and the different things that we've been working together. It's fantastic that we can build this bridge between past and future. Super important for me.
Let's just give a quick shout out to our buddy George Bamford as well. Probably, hopefully, he'll be watching this soon because we love this guy. He's got a great heart. He's an incredible artist, brilliant designer as well, and really he did an amazing job with this. So what I also love about this is it's a new material for this barrel-shaped case as well. Now we've got micro sandblasted titanium, which is just incredible. And I love the fact that you've treated it down to the pushers, down to the crown and everything, you know, because when people think of the A384, you usually think of steel, and the steel always has a little bit of this signature sun ray kind of finish on it, radiating outwards. And that's like, you know, it has a certain emotion to it, but this has got such a cool, slightly brutalist, slightly sort of sexy and space age kind of like a vibe to it. And I remember talking to Toby Bateman, because he's a buddy of mine, and he said the only mistake we did with this watch is we didn't make enough of them.
But you know, it's always easy to say that after, and sometimes it's a bit short-sighted on our side because it's part of luxury, you know, and what in the long term build brand equity is rarity. Luxury is rarity, exclusivity. So the minute you have too many on the market, it kills the magic. And I think that's also the reason why the celebration models, the one we did together actually earlier this year, we also sold out. I mean, when I saw you in Miami, you told me it's already sold out. You haven't received the watch, you know, so it's magic. And I think it's super important to continue to build that. There will be more to come. There will be more creations, but let's keep this magic together, yeah?
Oh, I love that. And I think that's a wonderful sign of respect to the client as well. I know you made 50 pieces of the Edge of Space. And then I remember when we had our conversation about our release of the Cover Girl, you were like, you know what, let's just keep it small. Let's make it special. Let's make sure that cool people get it. And I think we did, you know. So let's move on from there to the homage to Arsène Lupin, the gentleman thief, who's one of my favorite kind of comic characters.
Yeah, that's a cool one, because it's something that basically we found out in Japan, you know, in one of the manga creations that are so famous. And the brand El Primero, and the brand is so well known in Japan and so well respected. Why? Because Japanese people, they go so much into technical details that they value this movement from the very beginning. And we have a certain aura in Japan, which is quite particular. So when we found out about that, and in the cartoon, in the manga, we saw that they replicated one of the watch. We said, it's incredible. We are in this manga, and there is edition 1, edition 2, edition 3. So there will be a couple of these. And we decided to make a special watch to this Lupin III manga. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you absolutely crushed it on the design as well. So
yeah.
What I like is the first A384 that we saw, which was last year's the original, as an homage to the original watch. That is kind of a watch that is backwards looking. You know, it's got this warm, fuzzy, nostalgic feeling to it. It makes people smile when they think about the past. Then you've got the Edge of Space, which is, you know, purely the contemporary world. It's the future. And then we look at the Arsène Lupin, and it's kind of a beautiful merger between the two, actually. It's got this beautiful, kind of very delicious dynamic tension where you have like the gold hands and the second indicator and all the counters with these gold hands, which gives it, and even kind of the gilt-colored like seconds track as well, gives it kind of a little bit of a vintage vibe to it. But then you've got these really kind of like arresting slate gray dials. And the entire effect is to have something that's kind of a retro modern thing, you know?
That's exactly it. I mean, it's less contemporary than the one we saw before, and including the shadow that we are presenting today. It has this little vintage touch, mostly I would say on the dial, and of course the material is more conservative. But at the end, the result is fantastic. And again, these ones they've been on fire, and I think people really recognize Zenith DNA in such a watch. So that's what I wanted to do.
So, you know, speaking of Zenith DNA, it's not only the watch, but it also extends to the bracelets, right? And one of the most famous bracelets of all time in sports watches was the famous ladder bracelet that was made by Guy Frère back in the day. And I love the fact that you guys revived this, because that's one of the things that I miss most is these cool bracelets.
Yeah, of course. And you know, I'll be honest with you, some things at the brand's level, we plan in advance. We know where we go. This one, we knew it was in our history. We, of course, knew the bracelet. But when we launched the one on strap, you would not believe how many end clients contacted me directly sometimes, and asking me, saying, Julien, we love the bracelet. I was like, are you really sure? It's so much part of the past. Do we have to do it? I said, okay, you know what? Let's rebuild this bracelet the way it was, because that's what people want. And I think it's important.
That's incredible, man. And it's so awesome to give people the opportunity to own this bracelet, which is so iconic.
It's a beautiful, I love it. I've been wearing it for a few weeks, and it's so comfortable. You don't feel anything. It's amazing. Yeah.
And I like how you basically actually have two executions of this, right? Because you have this version with kind of the solid end links and makes it almost like an integrated bracelet. Right. And then you've got the version that was on Orel Box's Philips Special Edition, which is got like a straight end piece without the solid end links. And that is kind of like an even kind of, you know, cool vintage kind of touch to it as well, right? So it's great that you're so adaptable.
No, it's such a strong identity bracelet, and you know, I'll tell you a story. You know, in the winter I go skiing in the Swiss mountains, and last winter I was in a restaurant at night with that particular watch. It was still a prototype I was wearing with the Guy Frère bracelet, and a woman stood up from the table next to us. She came to me. First I thought, okay, she likes Zenith, she recognized my watch, and she told me that her father made this bracelet, was part of the team who made this bracelet, Guy Frère. It was in Verbier in a restaurant. I was having a cheese fondue or whatever. And she came to me, she said, can you tell my husband that this bracelet is worldwide famous, because he doesn't believe me. So I turned to the husband, I said, I can tell you, we are relaunching it because of the request of the clients.
Wow.
It's a true story. And I met the daughter, now I'm still in touch with her.
That's so cool. That's so cool. Okay, so let's talk about earlier this year. I think we had basically one of the last watch events in the world.
Yes, we did. You and me, of course.
in the end of February in Miami, February 26, 2020, where, and again, it's so incredible. It's not that long ago, but to us, we had no idea what was going on.
No.
It was a wonderful moment of conviviality and happiness and friendship. And we launched this watch, which is the tribute to the legendary cover girl, named that because it is the model that appears on the book on Zenith, written by Manfred Rossler,
right.
the A384s, which has got this incredible blue Superman dial, and it's got that incredible integration of pulsometer and tachymeter, and it's just such a dope watch. And thank you so much for allowing us to create this with you. It was such an honor.
But it's been incredible, and I think you and me, we will remember to have done that together, because this piece is already becoming an iconic of our creativity and our creations. It's an incredible nice watch where again you have the right balance, because the dial with all the super luminova markers that are very impressive when you see it with UV light makes it so special, and a contemporary touch within this iconic shape. So I think we created something that will remain a fantastic iconic watch. And I was talking about your particular watch the other day with my friend Aurel Bax, saying that this is something that people will look after more and more, for sure.
Oh, thank you very much. Okay, and let's go from there to, without further ado, the new release, a watch that is in some ways spiritually aligned with the edge of space, in the use of a very contemporary material, titanium, for its case, micro sandblasted, but in even darker and, to me, kind of like sexier kind of a vibe here. So tell us about what this watch, which I believe is called Revival Shadow.
Exactly. It's an amazing watch that I'm super excited about for a few reasons. First of all, it has a funny story. When we worked on celebrating the 50th anniversary of the El Primero, we of course, we look a lot in our archives, in different things, in the attic, in another couple of rooms that we have where we have plenty of stuff. And we found a box. We found a box in which we found a prototype, a very old watch in poor condition that had been a very old prototype. And Romain, who's the memory of the brand at Zenith, he told me this is something interesting and we should do something out of it, because it's a prototype. It's not exactly the shape of the A384, the one you just showed. It's slightly wider. There had been 4 pieces made as prototypes, and they never got commercialized.
Wow.
In those years, they didn't have they had a movement, a Martel movement, the 1468 HP from Martel, that basically Zenith acquired as a company later. It didn't have the El Primero. 4 pieces only. One was found in the manufacturer. One, we don't know where it ended up. And 2 pieces got sold, apparently, as prototype during those years. I know that one of them, we can see it on a regular basis in the auctions. It went into Hodinkee. It was sold through Hodinkee at some point. We see it once in a while going from one client to another client. But that's it. And we said, okay, let's get the inspiration. Obviously, the watch, maybe you can see it slightly if I show you a bit about
it.
That's the one.
Wow, that's cool.
It's crazy, huh?
That's really cool.
And we got the inspiration from that one.
Yeah.
We said, okay, of course, during those years, it was in PVD. We said, let's do it in the A384 shape. Let's of course go microblasted titanium to give this a little bit edge of space, contemporary spirit. But let's stick also to what it was done there. As you see, there is no date, so it's not like A384. It's different, and it's very cool. So it's also the first time that that watch will be made in such a way, and the original one didn't have the El Primero. So we have a lot of things to talk about. To have a cool rendering, we put this bracelet, which is basically a rubber with a Cordura effect, but it's 100% rubber. So it gives a contemporary touch. It's not limited, so it's going to be available on the market.
Limited by production.
So no, that's a very exciting launch, and I'm super, super happy about it because it's a preview. Nobody has seen it, but it's going to be something amazing.
That's so cool. Like, I love that watch. So I think when you look at this like perspective of it, it's just so pure and instrument-like, you know, no date, as you were saying, you know, the stark black dial with these arresting kind of like, you know, like white markers. And I love the finish on the case, which is a little bit darker than the case on the Edge of Space as well, which is a little bit more like a medium gray. I mean, that is such a cool watch. And,
it's beautiful.
8,000 Swiss francs, is that right? Or?
Yes, right. Yeah, we are always in this range for these watches for now, yeah.
That is phenomenal, man. That is you know, it's awesome. Bravo, Julien.
My pleasure. You know, I'm so happy because, again, it's a revival that we are putting back on the stage, putting back on the market in both ways, one very traditional, original, and one more contemporary, because, again, our mission is to link the past to the future. And I think it's the right way to do without having technological creativity, invention, but the look and the feel is really, really special.
And now I see why you're wearing a black shirt as well, because it goes perfectly with the...
Yeah, that goes with, you know.
Okay, I have to say, that is a freaking sexy watch. I love that.
Yeah, right? No, I'm super excited, and I've received already so many good comments to the few people I showed, including the one and only Jean-Claude. I showed him some pictures, and he was so excited. He said, "This is it. This is such illustration of Zenith."
I love it. Let's talk, because I think I might want to be an owner of this watch. So you know, well,
me too.
That's how much I like it.
I give you a shirt with it.
Excellent. Julien, thank you so much, my friend. What a pleasure to meet you. Bravo on the Revival Shadow. It is badass. I love it. It's sexy. And
my pleasure. My pleasure.
See you in the future, my brother. Wonderful to see you last February, and let's hope that we can have these kind of moments again soon in our lives.
Yeah, very soon. Take care of you, Wei, and we keep in touch.
Cheers, brother.
Bye-bye.